you, Mama. Yeah.
Metaphysics is going to have to be the quote unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely. Metaphysics, if it isn't, you're fucked. Totally. Totally and absolutely. Metaphysics, if it isn't, you're fucked. Totally, absolutely. Religion of tomorrow.
Yoski Woski.
Yo,
Religion of
what's
tomorrow.
cracking?
Nothing much, man. Can you hear me good?
Yep, I hear you loud and clear. Just fading out the theme music right now. Had to get that cracking. Gotta have the theme
Dun, dun, dun,
music.
dun, dun.
I love it. I love it. Man, so how was the week, brother?
Got no complaints, man.
Beautiful.
Got no complaints.
That means it was an excellent week. If you have no complaints, then you are ahead of the game, my friend. You're way ahead of the game. Yeah, I had a pretty good week, pretty eventful. Got a lot of work done. I'm juggling a very tedious client right now for some t-shirt work. Recently, the homie Sean in California, he was on set and he was wearing one of my t-shirts from the shop. And somebody stopped him and was like, "Oh, that's cool. Where'd you get that?" He told him, my friend makes them. And he's an artist and all of this. So they ended up giving him my information because they wanted to get some T-shirts done for the production that they're working on the set, some like crew shirts and stuff like that. So the lady hit me up and asked me some stuff, and then we kind of got into a back and forth. And basically, I'm designing some T-shirts for I think it's a TV show, movie. It's something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know it has Danny DeVito in it. I did get that much information, and it has something to do with a pool man. So, but she's been giving me so many emails back and forth. And could you move this over? Could you put a chameleon on the chest? And how about if we use these words instead of those words? So it's been a lot of back and forth, but I'm trying to keep it as cool and cordial as possible because it seems like it could end up being a decent gig. You know what I mean? I know those them Hollywood prices is nice. I can give them a hell of a markup, and they probably wouldn't even realize it. And just being able to make the T-shirts for the people on set is just a great opportunity. So I'm just trying to juggle it properly.
Yeah, man. That's a good look.
Yeah,
And shout out to Sean for exercising that first degree.
yeah,
First
man.
degree is t-shirt wearing.
Yeah, yeah,
Start.
absolutely.
Can't do anything else. If you can't feed the homeless, if you can't grow a plant, just wear the t-shirt.
Yeah, that's it. That's number one right there. And he wears them all the time. He's got a bunch of them, so he's always rocking them, and people comment about it and shit. He always lets me know when it sparks some interest. So it's always good to know when people notice somebody's T-shirt enough to stop them and ask them what's up with that. That's pretty cool. It's good to know about your art. It's out there flying in the world and possibly influencing people for the better. I dig it. I definitely dig it. But yeah, man. So I just been chilling, working, doing a lot of garden work, taking care of business outside in between the 90-degree weather and the rain. Try to dodge both of those things to get to what we got to get to. But everything has been excellent. I'm happy about this rain. That's for sure. We definitely needed it because it was hot and dry. We got a couple big rains the last few days. It's soaking the garden up quite nicely. How's the food forest coming along over there?
It's going pretty good, man. I've been out of commission a little bit. I haven't been able to work as hard as I'd like, but I got the raised beds, so I'm about to transfer some of those plants that you gave me from the pots that I got them in now. into the raised beds, and I'm gonna plant some of those seeds that you had sent over to me too. So that's my next phase of the homesteading.
Dope, dope, quite nice. Yeah, it's always good to get that work done.
And got a shoot too. That's what it's called, right? A shoot at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah,
So I got the second one growing out now.
nice. What was that? The sugar cane, right? Or no, no, it was the
Banana.
ginger. Oh, the bananas. Oh, okay, nice. You got a new banana pup coming up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't peel that one off quite yet. You know, just wait. Let it till you get about 3 or 4 of them. Then you can take one of the small ones off and move it and start a new banana cluster if you want. But that was just a lesson I got when I first started getting bananas. They say never take off the first shoot just because you never know how it's going to develop. The main plant could die because you cut the root open and kind of introduce a possibility for infection. You could end up losing them both. So always wait till you got 3 or 4. You can sacrifice one to try to let it grow some more. It's a little
Yeah.
banana
That,
rule of
that's
thumb.
that's next level though. I'm not there yet. I was just excited to see how big it's getting and that it's got a shoot going. The Akubian transfer. I'm not ready for that.
Oh yeah, it's coming though. It's
That
coming.
high science.
Dude, I don't even know how many clumps of bananas at this point right now. It's just, I got them all across the back of the property. I got a couple on the side because I went and got the blue Java banana, which is like this highly sought after cultivar. Everybody talks crazy about it online, and you see all these Photoshop pictures of how blue it really is, but it's a tasty banana, super tasty. And when bananas are young, when the cluster first opens, they definitely have like this blue hue to it. It's almost like how a peach has fuzz. It's
Yeah,
like these bananas have this gleam of blue on top of it when they first come out. But the older they get and the more they swell up and everything, the blue kind of goes away. And the banana itself is not blue. It does have a really distinct blue hue to it when it first pops and starts developing. So, but it is really tasty though. I'll give them that much. It tastes just as good as everybody says it does. One of my favorites for sure. But I'm just fucking. I got a couple things lined up, man. I'm excited about. Did you get a chance to watch the Portland Road Rage video?
yeah, yeah. It's rounds on the interwebs.
Yeah, dude. I thought that was pretty interesting. Something that 'cause I thought it was fairly. It was kind of nuanced. It wasn't that the people who I saw posted originally. I looked at the comments, and everybody was kind of just like hating on the white lady, calling her a Karen and colonizer, and everybody seemed to agree with the dude. But I was totally on the other side of it. I was like, actually, she's kind of making some valid points. It seems like she wants to have a conversation, and the dude is just totally like, yeah, fuck you, colonizer. Like that was, it felt a little bit unreasonable.
See, and this is one of the scenarios where I kind of got to commend some Babylonian behavior because there was a time where when somebody would do something stupid on the road, people would just say "fuck you" and then keep driving,
Right.
and then that was the end of that. They're never going to agree as to who was really at fault. The wronged party has nary a chance to convince the violator that they did something wrong. Usually, in that climate, very rarely are drivers going to be like, "Yeah, I fucked up. I'm sorry."
Right.
That would be the enlightened human thing to do, but it's a rare occurrence.
Yeah.
So this is just two people that just wanted to waste time. Nobody like
Yeah.
why are you stopping to have this prolonged conversation about nothing? And it deviated quickly from the somebody did something wrong on the road and it got right into um bitch, I think you're a colonizer, which I couldn't understand.
Yeah, yeah. He immediately jumped into the colonizer talk, and it was because I actually got it queued up. I might play a little bit of it, but it's because the woman said to him, and she agreed. She didn't deny, but he said that she told him to go back to where you came from, and he took that as a colonizer comment. And I will say, if you're presenting yourself as a enlightened white person on the planet, you woke, you're not doing the classic racism shit, then you kind of have to understand why telling somebody to go back to where they came from might be taken the wrong way. But I'll also say in her favor, in her defense rather, I know for a fact that there's places like California, say, and New York, where there's ways that you can drive where people will tell you to go back to wherever the fuck you came from because we don't drive like that here. Like especially New York and California, they're super aggressive drivers there. So if you're taking your time and you're like trying to let somebody in and you're doing all this polite shit, you might get the middle finger thrown at you. You might get told to get the fuck out of California, just leave our state, because that's just not the culture of driving there. So when she said I meant go back to where you came from because we don't drive like that in Portland, I was like, all right, well, I could kind of see that being the sentiment. But as a woke person, there's probably better terminologies that you could have used. There were probably a couple better phrases you could have used.
Well, there's rumors that it was all staged.
Really?
I yeah, I've seen that making its way around the internet. Like the
Mm.
person captured the video, it was just kind of too perfect, and there's some speculation that it was fixed. But even if it was, it's still, protocols from the Elders of Zion, the silent weapons for quiet wars. It's a fiction that's telling something that's very true about
Mm.
where. See, it to me it encapsulates everything about where we're at as a culture. There's the actual substance, which was we have a culture of driving here. Your aggressive driving violated that culture. I think you're driving in a way that's not consistent with the area that you're in. That was the substantive matter. Did the dude cut her off? Was he kind of driving like a dick? And that made about 4% of the dialogue. So so the bulk of the dialogue was trying to determine how racist this Karen was.
Right.
It was a given. She was racist. That wasn't even up for debate. It's just how much of a colonizing uh um translucent person with caucasity was she? What degree? And that's where she, because it ceased to be about the driving at some point, where most of it's just her talking. I'm not racist. This is not about race. Stop injecting race into it. And it's like, yeah, you don't see how this pretty much is the defining hallmark of every public conversation now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hadn't seen anybody claim it was fake yet. So that's an interesting perspective on it. But if the reason I didn't think it never crossed my mind to think that it was fake is because, like you said, this is really how conversations are going today. I could totally see where you might bump into somebody at the grocery store with your cart, and if the color configuration of the two people having the interaction is the right way,
Right.
somebody gonna say something about it. Oh, you colonizers think you could just run into people. So I can see it happening. And I can see it happening both ways too. Because if the right white person get bumped with the cart, they're gonna talk about Black Lives Matter in 3 seconds. Like Black Lives Matter is coming up.
Oh, you're gonna start a riot right here, right now, in
Oh,
aisle 7.
so your cart matters more than mine, right? It'll definitely happen, and that's why I didn't even think twice about the interaction. And that dude seemed legitimately angry too. Like he was having a hard time. He was screaming colonizer, but the only thing that rung a little bit weird to me is that he didn't want to call her a bitch. Like he did, but like when he said you white
Lady.
lady, like that felt weird, almost like like what was holding you back? You already screaming in a white woman's face in the middle of the street, so why
Oh,
would you?
stop. You you've halted the flow of traffic.
Right, to
You've
scream at a white woman.
inconvenienced to
as
put on this fucking production, and you won't call her a cunt?
as a brown man screaming in the face of a white woman, like you've already committed the cardinal sin, especially if you want to integrate the view of the world that you claim. You calling her a colonizer, your people did this to me, as you're screaming in the face of a white woman in public in Portland as a brown man. They kind of don't add up. It's sort of like how when the women are at the marches and they're saying we're oppressed, but they run up on a man and snatch his sign and spit on him and shit. It's like, what? Aren't you scared of getting patriarched? Right? He ain't gonna knock you out and fuck you up right now. You acting like you're oppressed, but you just fucking snatch that dude's sign and spit on him. So I kind of feel like you're the aggressor here.
Yeah,
So
like
don't stop now.
like he's not gonna kill everyone in your village and pick you up and fireman carry you away to his hut.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's not gonna happen. Like patriarchy, this long history of men being brutal, violent, rapey, murderers. Yeah. And you say it's still here. You walking up and yeah, it's silly. It
Yeah.
just shows that nobody's sincere. Nobody's even a little sincere. And it also just the patheticness. I mean, I think both of them. I could see, and I don't know how sincere she was, but she seems like one of those people who really prides themselves on being morally correct. I care about the right things. I'm
Right.
doing my part. That shot at the very end where you see all her bumper
Oh, that
stickers,
was beautiful.
you know, fuck Independence Day. It's Interdependence Day.
That was beautiful.
That's what we need. Yeah, like our interdependence with China. It's worked so well with the supply chain. You're absolutely right. Put that fucking hippie bitch in charge. She's got it.
Yeah, she
She'll
knows the
solve
way.
problems.
She knows the
Right.
way. She's gonna get everybody in the room. They're gonna meditate and hug, and then all the
Yeah.
bad parts of capitalism just magically disintegrate.
Vladimir Putin is pulling out of Ukraine right away. He's like, oh my God, until this annoying cunt told me about the power of love and transcendental meditation and brand flakes, I was really hell bent on killing Ukrainians. But now I
Right.
don't even remember what I was mad about.
Yeah.
Thank
See,
God you sent her. She's a blessing.
who'd have
But
thought? Who'd have thought? All Putin needed was some organic breast milk and some hummus, and all the world's
yeah,
problems are solved.
just squeeze fresh from the titty, just shoot a shot in fucking Kahlua or vodka or whatever, and just spread the love. And he's a changed man. But but as sincere as she was, you know, this dude, okay, having a bad day, but the heart of the matter is, I do believe, I don't see the driving exchange that led up to it, but I don't think he outright denied. I didn't get an outright denial from him that I remember. He's like, no, I didn't cut you off. I wasn't driving like a dick. I think that's probably what happened. I think he did do something. And it was just so pathetic to me that he went right to, first of all, there's like 10 of you. I don't, there's very few people that have met a Native American. There's just, they're not around. They're not around. You're very, you got to really go deep into some like reservation or something to find some. You're just, it's not a day to day. Like you'll go around, you'll meet some Asian people, you'll meet some African people, you'll meet some people from Eastern Bloc countries. You'll meet pretty much any and everybody that you could think of. An Ethiopian, a fucking somebody from Ghana, somebody from Cuba, somebody from Barbados. You'll meet people from all over. Very rarely are you meeting a Native American. So
Right.
this whole thing about like he's marked as a second class citizen, nobody's even thinking about you. Nobody we don't see enough of you enough to be racist towards you. There's not enough. There's not enough to fit the demand. So and if the supply is gone, the demand hasn't increased. There's just not a big demand for Native America racism. And for him to like immediately go into like this, you critiquing my driving, you having an opinion about my aggressive, selfish driving is tantamount to killing my people and stealing my land.
Right.
This is colonization behavior.
Right.
And it's like, nah, it's just people driving like assholes, which is an everyday thing.
But white
Why
people.
why are you warning this in here?
It's white people though. Can't leave that
Right.
out. It's white people drivers because they think they can just do whatever they want. There's no
Never.
other race thinks they can do whatever they want.
Right.
Never. There's never another race that thinks they can do what they want. I don't even know a good racial slur for Native Americans, and that's how you know they're not even really in the. You're not even in the race to be talking about this right now. We don't even know any racial slurs for you. What does anybody even say? How do they insult you as a Native American right now? Like, how does that happen?
right. And that's why I think you have to give black people in America the crown, for at least the racism thing, because I think you measure it by how many different racial slurs there are.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up because if you could start doing subgenres of like, well, Italians have a word, Jewish people have a word, down south there's words. So there's just more, and Asians too. Asians have their own, So I think if the more variation in racial slur across cultures, I think that puts you in a higher position. The Native Americans aren't high on that hierarchy chain. There's
Listen,
just not enough racial slurs. I can't even think of one.
yeah, dude. Black people
I,
in America have co-opted an entire species as a racial slur.
right. Which
Who
which
else has
by
done that?
right, which by the book is universal. I mean, if you can have problems with Darwin and evolution and some of the ideas in there, you could say that they're racist, but the 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 reality is that he's putting connecting everybody, not just one race,
Mm-mm,
like
nope.
everybody.
Black
But
folks own monkeys. Black people own monkeys as a point of oppression, a racial slur. I've heard several popular bloggers, whether especially in the financial space, excuse me, they've been talking about recently how the Bored Ape Yacht Club, one of the biggest NFT projects, is based on racist stuff. And I've seen people go into it deep about the Nazi iconography that they were channeling when they did their logo, and the people who run it, like the real in depth documentary style uncovering of who these people are and why this might be something racist. But black folks was like, why they got monkeys? That
I
was
need
their
to like
whole shit. Why are they monkeys though? Are they just making fun of us and selling it back to us? I'm like, first of all, I don't know that you could say anybody targeted black people to sell them NFTs. Like, I don't know if that was, you could say it was targeted at you. These things are, I mean, maybe celebrities, possibly, but the entry point for this shit, the games that they playing for this, these are 80,000 to $1 million NFTs. I don't think their original demographic that they were targeting necessarily would be black people. But and the fact that it happened to be a monkey rather than a panda or whatever, I don't know if that's for me anyway, personally. Just the fact that it's a monkey, I don't know if I want to have ownership over monkeys that much. To whenever anywhere I see monkey iconography, I have to second guess to wonder if this is somebody taking a secret shot at me. I don't know if I want to be involved on that level over an animal.
listen, I'm not claiming rats or termites.
Wait, termite? I've never heard that one.
Well, it got attributed to Farrakhan. I thought a
Oh
bit
shit,
when he said, "I'm not anti-Semite, I'm anti-termite."
oh that's gangster. That's
People were up
gangster.
in arms. He's calling all Jews termites. Like, I
And I
don't
bet
think
you that
that's
was
what he said.
hilarious to his audience.
God,
But somebody says, I just don't like monkeys. Then everybody's jaw drops and a collective black gasp. He said monkey. I don't know why they want to own the animal.
ever hung out with a monkey? They throw their shit. No matter how long you love them, they'll eat your face off. They don't give a fuck about you. They're horrible. When they fight each other, they rip their balls off, bite their ears off. They're vicious.
They're
They're horrible.
super vicious. Yeah, they are.
I think
Chimpanzees are
I think
terrible.
yeah, I think all human beings, if they're being honest, hate monkeys, or want to, or at least want to be separated.
Right,
I
right.
all I think that's universal across the races, if we're really being honest about it. But like you said, we can never have that honest conversation about human monkey relations because within humans we've been fragmented because of this persistent thing, and it's not even something that it's not something that I see um white culture at large holding on to. I see people like running out to be offended by it, like the H&M thing, where it was like the coolest monkey in the jungle.
Yeah,
You know, the kids are referred to as monkeys all the time. You know,
yeah,
it,
yep.
song, Five Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed. Were they really talking about monkeys? Is there hidden racism in there? I don't know. I don't know. It's an old song. After learning the truth about the Ice Cream Man song, I just assumed all songs made before 1930. Anything that has that like uh phonograph static in the background when you hear it, I just assumed the original lyrics were racist. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe, yeah.
The
But
Ten Little Indian, like with a five. That was, yeah. Agatha Christie wrote a book called Ten Little Niggers.
okay,
That's
see,
where that
so
comes from. So yeah, yeah, that definitely has some roots, and she's a gangster too. She's an OG. Everybody loves Agatha Christie, but yeah, she had a book called Ten Little Niggers, and that's where it came from. The whole one nigger jumped out of a tree, broke his foot. One nigger, like they just keeps checking them off the list. So
yes, I
yeah,
mean, so are we surprised?
right. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. Ten Little Nigger Boys. It's a lot of cool, a lot of cool imagery too. A lot of shit that I think Spike Lee would like to probably hang up on his wall and shit like that. The people seem to love the iconography of this stuff. They love to keep it and remind you of it. They have museums of it and shit like that. People love this shit. It's awesome. And fuck it. No other race owns a whole animal, so black people got the leg up. And Native Americans, honestly, and that's another thing. I think we talked about this recently. I know it probably pisses people off, maybe a little bit, but it's really just the efficiency of of bad.
Or-
Yeah, it's the efficiency of the murder and the colonization that people are upset with. It's not colonizing. I don't believe they think colonizing itself is bad. I don't believe they honestly think that one group or one tribe taking over some shit from another tribe is bad. I don't know why we're under the impression that the whole world was holding hands and singing kumbaya until the white man came out of the cave and then everything just went to shit. That's just not the truth of human existence. If you spin a globe and throw a dart at it and then do some research about the history of the place that dart landed on, I guarantee you people were fucking each other up. We
Yes.
know that Native Americans were not living in complete harmony. They were fucking each other up. They were doing everything that the white man was doing before he got here. They was taking motherfuckers' wives. They was knocking your shit over, burning your TP. Like, I know TP is probably a bigoted slur right now, but I'm just saying, whatever structures you were living in, they was burning that shit to the ground. They was chopping motherfuckers' heads off. That's what humans have done. If you can show me, maybe there was two or three tribes on this one side, like we get along, but we don't fuck with them other dudes over there. So people, that's what humans do. They fuck each other up. The efficiency and the tenacity that the white man brought to the game is unmatched. So that's really what they mad at. He came over here. He had some extra technology. He had some shit we ain't have. If you would have, okay, if somebody went back in time, like you don't let a white man do it because that's still racist. You send a Chinese guy back in time with a crate full of AK-47s and just pick a tribe and hand them the crate of AK-47s and tell them how to use it. What do you think happens after that? Do you think harmony happens, or do you think colonization, slavery, and prima nocta happens? Realistically, I mean, do you think they would just take those guns and put them down like this is not our way? We will find peace through the. Do you think that's actually the white narrative of what the Native American was? That's what white people put in their movies. These super peaceful, shamanistic Native Americans that don't want no trouble, and then the white man comes and burns everything down and kills everybody. But
Look, they just wanted to fucking do peyote with Jim Morrison and not have us litter. That's all they were doing. Keeping the streets clean
that's
and
it,
doing peyote, and everything was lovely. And then these fucking devils came over here and just started murdering everybody indiscriminately.
right? Right.
Eh,
So
look, it's the Babylonian efficiency model. That's the way this world works. If you organize your population, right, you've got laws, you've got commerce, you've got sophistication, you got technology for weaponry. The people who more refine their populace under the Babylonian model, they become more successful killers and colonizers. And it's happened all over the world. We're just so myopic that we only give a fuck about our history. It's like, Genghis Khan wasn't doing a lot of treaties,
Right.
you know. It's like, look, maybe we could talk this out. Maybe bring that white bitch who was yelling at the Native American dude in here. Have her come in here and give us some transcendental meditation. Maybe we can change things. It's like, no. And once Japan was like, look, we got pretty sophisticated shit. We had an emperor, we're fucking around with Mercury and fucking building soldier. We got some sophisticated shit. So I mean, we've kind of figured this out before the other people around us have. So fuck it. Let's go rape some Chinese women. Let's see how Korean women taste. Let's get a That's what they did. And and now I gotta say all Japanese people are evil. It's like, no. Human beings come into the knowledge of this Babylonian model. If they get it before their neighbors get it,
It's
they
a
become
wrap.
more sophisticated, they organize their people better, and their elite minds focus on technology,
Yeah.
warfare, not ethics, not
No.
not philosophy.
No.
There's a place for that. But the greatest minds is like, look, how can we make this gun sharper? How can we make this arrow go further? Can we put poison on it? Do we know how to make poison? Like, that's what they're thinking. And when they do it better than their neighbors, you know, hold on to your women. You're gonna be losing them soon. They're coming. They're coming in ships. They're
Mm.
coming in ships with poison arrows at the behest of some astrologer dude who predicted when the eclipse was happening, and some dude that says he's God on Earth. He got the whole thing under control. He just told people, "Look, I'm pretty much God. Can we just organize the way I'm telling you to organize?" And people ran with that model, and it worked. And if you didn't run with that model, you were subjected to somebody.
Right.
But if you ran with that model, then maybe you were in a position like, Russia and America. Look, I hate you, motherfucker. I hate you too. Let's split up these Nazi scientists and become the shit. let's divvy these let's divvy these dudes out. No, no, maybe we should just kill them. They look at the misery they unleashed on the world.
Mm.
Don't you want microwaves, dude?
Right.
Don't you want better Velcro? Like, there's all kinds of shit we could figure out. We just need to keep mining these Nazi geniuses. They
Yeah.
built the rocket, bro. We need them.
Should we murder them and wipe this blight from the land? Well, let's not be too hasty here. Okay.
there are Nazis now. Before they were Hitler's Nazis, and
Yeah.
we could have got, but now they're our Nazis.
Totally different.
Just give them a job. Come
Listen,
on.
I don't see any evidence anywhere on the planet where if you give people a leg up in technology and warfare ability, that they don't immediately take that out on all the neighboring communities and just snatch everything they've ever wanted to snatch. There's nowhere in the world where an empire expanded without that element.
Right.
And I don't know that empires can expand without that element, especially if other people around you aren't on the same wavelength. If you're not willing to creep into your neighbor's property and cut their throats in their sleep, you lose.
Right.
Because if your neighbor's like, if you're like, look, we're gonna do like respectful gentleman's warfare. All of us walk out into the middle of the field. We'll aim our guns directly at each other, and we'll just shoot. And when you run out of bullets or soldier, whoever run out of bullets or soldiers is the loser. But we ain't gonna do no sneaky shit. We're not gonna put no landmines. We ain't gonna climb the trees. No punji pits. No, we stand in front of each other. We take 5 paces and we turn and fire. If that's all you're willing to do, but your opponent is willing to poison the water supply and stab you in your sleep, guess who wins this conflict? It's not difficult.
Right.
This is not a difficult equation. If you're not willing to do at least what they're willing to do, it's not going to be fair. So that means that the only way you expand, if you don't have everybody around you on the same wavelength, which would automatically incorporate them into the same vibe, and that would be a natural permaculture expansion. But that don't seem to be what we're doing here. We're doing machete expansion. We're doing fucking bullets and guts expansion. So show me an empire that grew without that. Show me a place in Africa where they expanded by beating all the other tribes, shaking their hands, and trading food and resources, and then now we all part of the same thing. Well, wait, when you say part of the same thing, does that mean you guys are going to take on our customs and our colored face paint, or do you expect us to take on yours? Well, of course you're going to take on ours. I mean, shit. Oh, okay, let's get it cracking. And then it's back to the fighting. So this is how things expand. So if you're mad about it, you're not mad at the way that it expanded. You're mad at the efficiency. You're like, yo, we was laid back eating mangoes naked and fucking. Sometimes, certain times a year, we kill our enemies and we do, but mostly we just been chilling. And the white folks is like, yo, we ain't got time for that shit. We gotta up the ante. We gotta start doing mass murders. Like, have you guys don't use? Wait, you mean to tell me you guys are digging individual holes for bodies? No. Let me show you how to do. You dig one big pit, you throw everybody in that same pit, and then you burn it. That's how you do this. And everybody's like, fuck, like, no, we cut out our enemies' hearts and we do a ceremony. Like, no, fuck that. Keep killing. We ain't got time for ceremony. Just keep killing. So you're mad at the efficiency. Let's just be honest about what this is. Colonization is what it is. You would do the same thing if you had the opportunity. If Native Americans could do it, they would have done it. Everywhere in Africa, they would have done the exact same thing. The white man just showed up and started dunking. Y'all was just shooting around the gym. Y'all was chilling. Everybody shooting threes and doing layups. And the white dude came in the gym. He's like, I'm playing somebody for $100. And he started dunking. Like, damn, you dunking and betting money? Like, shit just got real, yo. We was just shooting around. Nah, fuck that. Fuck it. And was it racist to use the basketball analogy right there? Was that racist?
Everything's racist now.
True. Yeah, true.
Just accept it.
Fuck it. But yeah, this is what it is. So we've talked about this before, and to quote our dear brother of divine knowledge and uncomfortable awakenings, you should really be glad at the tenacity of this white beast that you hate so much, because through the photosynthesis of suffering, it's how you became the stellar example that you are today. Without this experience, you don't get, without having been forced to eat the entrails of animals, you don't get to brag about how well your food is seasoned. Those two are intrinsically connected. So you can't complain that you were forced to eat chitlins in the garbage. They gave us the nothing. It was the garbage. But we turned it into a delicacy. And now you complain, oh, they don't season their food. They didn't have to. They was eating steaks while you were eating pig butts. Shit was different. So you don't get to create all of these cool musics and blues, and like, you don't get to do none of that without the photosynthesis of suffering.
Right.
So yeah, they gave you your claim to fame. So don't be mad. Don't be mad. And I'm pretty sure the photosynthesis of suffering is undeniable. It's an unbreakable concept. As painful and dirty as it felt while he was, it was filthy. It felt filthy.
The title "Prophet of Uncomfortable Revelations," the prophet of uncomfortable truths.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because you ain't gonna like it. I told my lady about the 3 dreads, and she was cringing the whole time. But by the end, she's like, "Well, I mean, it's kind of true."
Right. You don't want to agree. You don't want to agree with the concept of a level 3 dread, but it's like once you explained 1 and 2, I'm kind of out.
There's nothing
I'm
left.
The defense. You went over it. Like, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's nothing left but the Miami boys. That's all that's left is little Haiti. But yeah, without the photosynthesis of suffering, you don't get to be here. You don't get to be here doing your song and dance about how black don't crack and we melanated this, and like all that melanin magic comes from, it's connected to this experience. That's what it is. So, it's the heads and the tails. Can't complain about the tails. The heads is on the other side. Just focus on the thing that you like. Keep talking shit about how good you season your food, and stop hating. Stop hating on efficient colonization. Y'all was taking too long. Y'all was dragging ass, bro.
It's hard to come to terms with the truth of the photosynthesis of suffering, but if you just because it can't just be and a thing exclusive to black people. It can't just be
everybody.
Black skin you're in. It can't be, because there's no music that's come out of Africa or anywhere in the world for that matter that's anywhere near the shit that we've done in the West through through the black people that have been creative here. There's just nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
There's nothing that's ever been made in Jamaica that there's something iller that was directly from Africa. You could say, oh, there's a lot of influence. Of
Yeah,
course, they incorporated and influenced a lot of that shit and made it a million times better. It's just not even close. And anything that's dope now is because they're expanding off the shit that was created over here. That they're
yep,
like, oh, that shit is dope. Let's do some of that.
yep. That's it. That's the whole thing. You had to have like
You
you
had
wouldn't have been able to do any of this if there wasn't broken glass everywhere. People pissing in the sins like they just don't care. If none of that had happened, you don't have hip hop, bro. You don't have hip hop. It would have just been black pop music, black African pop music. So yeah, just deal with it. It's all good. Nobody's mad at you. It's just these are uncomfortable truths that you have to accept. Hey, I didn't like it either. I didn't like it either. I was not ready to accept the photosynthesis of suffering, but it is what it is. And when truth is presented to you, that's the biggest point about being able to evolve and navigate this dimension. You got to be able to accept the truth when it's presented, new information when it's presented, and just kind of navigate different now. Now you got a few more elements and tools to figure this shit out, but you keep tying yourself to the anchor into the abyss that is focusing on the suffering and the bad shit and like, oh, look what they did to us. That shit is forever gonna destroy you. It's forever gonna destroy you. This is not one of those like, oh, don't forget the past because it'll repeat itself. All of this shit is gonna happen anyway. It's gonna repeat itself in a different format. You won't even recognize it when it comes back. You'll cheer for it because if somebody starts making cartoons about how plain and ridiculous and hateful white people are, you're gonna watch those. You're not gonna nothing. Not very many people are gonna have something ping in their mind and it says, you know what? This is a lot like those Sambo cartoons, and it's the same racist, bigoted energy. I don't think we should enjoy this. No, you're a coon. This is the best thing ever. Look at these stupid white people. Like that's what's going to happen. And that's not just with black and white. It's with anybody. When the people, I saw something recently where a guy, maybe he was a little bit of a jerk, but the guy went down to the pride parades and shit, and he set up a loudspeaker. He was talking about Jesus and God hates homosexuality and shit like that. And they like basically tore all his shit up, tried to beat his ass, take his mic. These are people who are saying that they've been marginalized and the world denies their existence and all these other things. But then when this guy comes here and talks about God hates homosexuality, you just beat him up and kick his ass and take his mic? Like,
right.
is that the best you could do? The people who say we just want to be loved and accepted and we want, to be recognized as full humans, all of this. But if you say Jesus don't like homosexuality, all right, let's all kick his ass. Now we back into the same cycle.
Right. Let's kill him. He can't exist. He can't have a voice.
Right.
Right. So again, everybody's a hypocrite. Nobody's moral. It's never about doing away with the club. I don't hate the club. I just hate that I'm not holding the club.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right.
And if you look too, it damages the person because look at this situation, right? This dude is, first of all, he's not from Oregon, but he's driving to Oregon. So already he's just confused and has no idea what he's doing. Like it's not somewhere you should just go and seek out. There's nothing there for you. There's nothing there. It's a shithole country at this point. So he's overweight. He's not taking care of himself. He's a discourteous driver. He just doesn't strike me as a person that's doing well in life, that he's happy with life. If you got time to stop and argue with this bitch about some traffic shit,
Right.
First of all, like, you're the dude. You're always going to be seen as the aggressor. Like, this lady, she's not a cop. She can't force you to stop. But no, you're going to stop in exchange with her. This all was evidence to me that this was just a person who wasn't living up to being the best version of themselves.
Right.
And I think something that probably was contributing to that is this mentality that he adopted of framing things in that way. Like, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of being colonized.
Right.
Like, if you're overweight, it's like, yeah, it's fucked up. There's all these chemicals in the food. You don't have to eat that food. It's fucked up, it's this and it's that. It's like, yeah, but you don't have to do that. So I think once you concede to that once you've made that decision in your mind that you're somehow helpless, if you tell yourself that over and over and over again, eventually you're gonna make it true. I can't change. I can't stop drinking. I can't stop eating bad food. I can't start exercising. I can't start investing money. I can't do it. I can't. Well, why can't you? And it has nothing to do with his driving, right? Like, he'll never examine it. Like, that was just a perfect scenario to show, like, I'm doing something that's causing problems in my life. No, we're not even going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how my aggression and my unhappiness is spilling over into my driving etiquette and causing me to be in disharmony with the people around me. We're not even going to look at that. I did something wrong. Nope, don't hold me to account. Don't hold me to account so that I might learn and improve my trajectory and improve my character and grow as a human being. Nope, don't do that. Don't do that. Not only don't do that, I'm gonna make you pay the greatest social penalty if you ever do that. Bitch, you telling me to be a better driver? You a motherfucking racist. You're a fucking racist cunt. Fire this bitch, remove her off of Twitter, fucking take away all her granola, seize it and give it to the state. Make this bitch's life miserable. I would rather you do that than call me out on some shit that is bad on my part, that I might improve my character. And so if you're creating cultures centered around that, you're dooming people to never make any progress. Like, that's the best thing you could do, to just poison somebody's mind and in turn poison somebody's culture, so that culture never leans towards improvement. You gave that dude an out. I don't have to be held accountable for my shitty driving because this bitch is a colonizer. All right then. you know
Also, not to
yeah.
cut you off, but also another thing, two things I thought was worth looking at here is that one, when she said, no, when he said, when he brought the race into it, and she's like, this is not about that, and I want you to. She said you're projecting that onto me, and people need to hear how upset you are. But it's not about just this. It's not about just this. If I felt like she was trying to dig deeper into that shit. She also told another woman, you could hear screaming from the outside. She's like, get out of her face, because she's protecting the woman who's being yelled at by a man. And she turned around. She told her to chill. She's like, don't worry about it. This is important. Like, I feel like she completely understood the depth of what could have been reached in that interaction. Like, they could have had a deeper conversation. Of course, they're blocking traffic and all that. This is not the place for it for real. But I feel like she understood something was happening there. When she told him, if you want things to change, and he immediately cut her off and was like, oh, so it's up to me to change. I don't have to change. It's your white colonizer mindset that has to change. So no responsibility to stop, to listen, to see if this is really what I think it is. Is this a racist white woman, or am I just projecting this archetype onto her and attacking the archetype? None of that. He's like, he had no responsibility to exercise any higher perspective at all. I'm just going to yell at you and call you a colonizer.
Right.
And
Basically,
in that sense, she was correct. Like, if you expect progress, he says, no, you got to change. This is the change that you're asking for. She's not just calling you, telling you to go back to the fucking reservation. Go get drunk on your reservation and shoot some crap, you fucking whatever. That's not the white person you're dealing with. You're dealing with the white person who wants to have a conversation. What else? What other change can you expect?
right. If you can't change that person's mind and have it productive, then all is lost.
Right.
There's
Right.
not even a reason to bring it up. Clearly, it's all hopeless. Well, save your breath.
Right. And that's
But again,
exactly what you're saying.
and I can't stress how trivial Native Americans are. I can't stress it any more than I already have. You tried to come up with a racial slur and you couldn't.
No.
That's how much these people don't exist in our society. Is that there's no actually, what you'll get in trouble for is a perfectly reasonable name, like an accepted like medical term. Redskin is forbidden.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I-
That's
Indian is a slur,
that's the bottom of the
right?
barrel right there, bro.
Right, because they're not really from India. They're Native American. So if you say Indian, so all the terms and these were just regular terms. These weren't even
Right,
racial slurs. They
right.
don't have like a squaw is literally an Indian woman, if I'm not mistaken. A squaw. If you say squaw, that is interpreted as so you can't even mention them, which kind of lets me know whoever's in charge kind of just wants them to go away. Like we're blotting your identity and collective memory from our consciousness. And again that I just feel like it's that's how non-race that's how much race isn't a part of this equation is that there's not even a slur. Slurs are just acknowledging your existence. Slur is using any kind of term that has been used to identify you in a non-offensive. It's not even a pejorative, but nobody uses those terms anymore. Like Indian people are not. You know what it is, and I guess it first started with when gay people were like, look, it's fucked up. You're beating us up for no reason, which is fucked up. You know, um, we can't visit each other in the hospitals. We don't get the same tax breaks, even though we're committed to each other and building a life. It's like, okay, that all of that shit is reasonable. And it's like, you know what this is like? This is just like being black in America. Eh, eh, I don't know. I don't know that and if you notice for all of these movements and all of the rhetoric that comes around, is pretty much everybody is running to the front of the line to be the next black people in America. Like
Mm,
almost like it's Star Search.
right, right.
Like, no, we're next. It's our turn. It's time for us. And it's like, nah, you don't have the same story. You just don't. You just don't. But a lot of people, because they pick up on the way that the culture works, they try to piggyback off of that. It's like,
Yeah.
after 400 years, Jim Crow and slavery and not being allowed to read and fucking having to eat the shit parts of the pig and blah 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 blah. And finally, after the civil rights legislation, we could start, operating as full citizenship. All right. Well, I want the same thing too. Oh yeah. What's your story? Well, basically, I smuggled some children and broke in here illegally, and I've been getting free benefits ever since. And you can't talk to me like that. Well, I don't know. That's not the same kind of struggle in history. I don't think, but everybody people picked up on there's there's a sensitivity and a compassion that exists in the society that other people want to try to leverage in dishonest ways, and that's where we're at, and that's what it is. Like, dude, you're really oppressed. You really have a fucked up time, because I'm pretty sure if you're Native American, you're getting checks every month. Like, you don't got to worry about money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta go to work, even if I'm fucking everything sucks in life and I'm in pain and I got bills to pay. There's no money just coming in. So I don't know. I don't know if your station is that bad that you can just jump out of the car and call this bitch a colonizer and make it make sense.
Wait.
I don't know.
So listen, if you want to know, all right. So this might sound harsh, but if you want to know what the potential is for how humans treat each other, regardless of what their color is, what's happening on Native American reservations right now? Like, are they not like eating their own people with the casinos and the alcohol sales and like nobody did anybody turn them shits into big ass healing facilities so they could rebuild their culture, or did they just start exploiting anything that they could exploit? Is that not what's happening right now with the casino shit, the debts, and they got their own cops? I saw some documentaries about the unreported rapes that happened on there, and some people are trying to blame white folks. They're saying white folks are going to the reservations and raping Native women and then running and leaving. It's like, but they got their own cops. They could if you get caught, you would just disappear. Like, they're gonna kill you and bury you somewhere on the reservation, so it's a wrap for you. But all the spousal abuse, everything that's going on the reservation. What does that tell you? Like what? Nothing. What's the difference? There is no difference. This is just people doing people shit. Of course, it's going to be like, white folks came and now everybody's broken, so they can't fix themselves. And I get it. Yeah, they give the white people too much credit. But I'm starting to think that Native Americans may be the most unreasonable victims of white supremacy. And let me tell you why. So I just looked up the word squaw, right? So squaw definitely means, it's a word for a woman, but it says noun and offensive, a North American Indian word for woman or wife. The origin is, it's been traced to the Algonquin language, in which it meant simply woman. But its meaning was skewed by centuries of use by white people. That's what it says in the definition. Its meaning was skewed by centuries of use by white people. So when white people say the word squaw and they're talking about a woman, that's a nice little squaw you got there. Like, that skewed the meaning and now it's offensive? Does it not just mean woman anymore? I'm trying to understand here how white people using the word in its correct attribution skews the meaning of it. Because that's what they always used it for, just a woman. Whether she's the wife of the chief or she's a hooker, or if she's Native American, you call her a squaw. So or is it because it was only from that one language and they used it to call all the Native American women squaws? Is that it? Is that even offensive? So if you speak Spanish and you call a woman, say woman in Spanish, white people say that, does that skew the word and make it bad?
Probably.
Gosh, dude, white people are fucking powerful, bro.
Senor, the gods of the earth. They're the gods of the planet. They are supreme, clearly, based on all the rhetoric and complaints and evidence. Clearly, if they use a word, they make it mean what it means. Nobody else can do that, I guess. So,
but Native Americans use the slur "squaw man." A white man who's married to a Native American woman is a squaw man.
Oh, so people, there's still the hatred. Don't marry our women. Yeah. The origins of racism. That's our pussy. Right. That bitch can think for herself.
Collectively, all of ours. Every one of us. It belongs to all of us.
Look, for decades, I didn't know negress was a real word.
Yes, negress is one of my favorite words. I love it. I use that word a lot.
It sounds imperial. It sounds regal.
It is like empress.
Yeah. But I heard it I'm like, that's not a real word.
No,
That can't be a real word. This is a joke, right? No, it's absolutely a real word. But that's the thing too, is there's always a game being played about which words are like. Nobody would ever say Negro now. Right. Nobody would ever say colored now, unless you said it in a joking way.
Or at the end of people of.
Right, people of. Right. So as long as you have the preposition, then it's not offensive. But if you lose the preposition, then it's super duper offensive. But I've never in my life met a black person that called themselves African American. I'm sure they exist. I'm not saying it's universal, but I've never met anybody who referred to themselves as an African American. But the language always changes because people just want to be offended. So when you stop saying really racial words, right? Like nobody's dropping N-bombs. If they do it in secret. But nobody's openly dropping N-bombs. Maybe with the exception of like Kramer did a time ago.
It's such a classic fashion too. If you're gonna do it, that's how you do it.
Right. If you're just gonna fucking eat shit and ruin everything that you worked for, I mean, you might as well do it that. And it's like, well, he was at a comedy club. I'm like, I get it. I didn't hear the joke. It pretty much sounded like
that was the joke.
Right.
That was the joke. There was no other joke. So I think somebody complained about something, and then he just goes, "Oh yeah, you don't like it? Oh look, it's a nigger. Ah, he's a nigger.
Look at him. He's
look."
Ooh.
Yeah, if you're gonna go out like that, that's how you go out. You just strap a fucking bomb to your chest and blow the whole room up, bro. Fuck it.
It's
Take
the
everybody
N,
with you.
the N bomb suicide bomber. Like man, he's like, I'm ruining everything. I'm ruining everybody's night. I'm giving everybody indigestion. I'm fucking with Jerry Seinfeld's money. I'm making sure I'm never invited to a reunion. I'm doing it. I'm
Yeah.
doing it now. Fuck it. I don't like the chitter chatter over there. I'm
And
ready.
those guys were heartbroken. They were destroyed. They were crestfallen. That I'm sure everything about their lives had been put into question. And then they go out in the parking lot. They get in their cars and they play nigga, 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 nigga.
Listen, but little did he know, those African American gentlemen were the biggest Jerry Seinfeld fans
Right.
that on the planet. Like
Right.
they had came that night just to see Michael Richards. They were so amped to see him,
And that's what
and
they
he
got.
ruined their night for them.
Yep.
It's a shitty thing, man. But I don't even remember my point now. Just this, but oh yeah. Nobody's saying, nobody's going out there and dropping, racial slurs as much as the charges of racism are out there. So it seems like every 10 years, as our society anyway improves a little bit from person to person, we just have to say, okay, now this term is racist. So that if you didn't get the announcement that this was the racist term, since nobody's using the racial slurs as prominently anymore, it's almost a way like to trick people, right?
Right.
So like if next week Black and African American both become just they both become dirty words. You can't say them anymore. You have to start saying original people. If you don't say original people, you're a racist. If just from some nebulous origin that command got issued out, right? And you would say, how many people would be racist overnight that you could just attack?
Right.
Listen, we got Don Lemon said, the black vote. Can we get this motherfucker off TV, please?
Get him out of here.
He didn't say the original vote. He said the black vote. Like, cancel this fucking Twitter. So that's always the stupidest thing with language is a word exists to describe a reality. If that reality exists and there's a special word for it or a particular word for it, if you take that word away, don't you kind of take away the ability to express that with that same level of precision? Like, what is it in German? What's the word? Schadenfreude or something like that, where the word, and that says a lot about your culture. When you have a word that specifically describes the joy that comes at seeing the failure of your enemies.
Oh my God, I've never heard this word before.
Schadenfreude.
No?
Schadenfreude. Pleasure
Yeah,
derived by someone from another person's misfortune. Holy fuck.
Right. So that's a common enough sentiment in German culture that's like, we need a word like this. We need a word specifically to describe this phenomenon of gaining pleasure at the suffering of others. So that word exists. So if you say, well, that's an ugly reality, that's an ugly thing to do, but if it's something that happens, if you take the word away, you don't take away the feeling, right? You don't take away people, you don't change people's hearts or mind so they don't participate in it anymore. You just take away people's ability to describe it concisely and efficiently. That's all you do. So it's just like, I've always thought it was odd for people to be appalled by any word, because if you were really offended by words based on their substance, I mean, would anybody even say murder? Like, wouldn't you agree? Like, if you think of the person that you love the most, that you're so grateful that this person shares the space on the planet with you, that they're here on the earth with you, mother, father, spouse, child, whoever, right? Can you really tell me that them being murdered isn't the worst possible thing? But we say the word murder, we say the word kill, and nobody bats an eye, like, because it describes an ugly reality.
Right.
We're not gonna say rape, we're not gonna say sodomy or digital penetration. No, Like, how do you know? How do you know what Joe Biden allegedly did to that woman if you don't say digital penetration?
Right, right.
If you say sexual assault, you obscure what actually happened. And so language is designed to get to the point. It's designed so our minds can connect. And so I don't feel like any language should be taken away. It just describes a different. It just I don't know. It's there's something unique to be captured in every word. That's why that word exists.
Dude, I'm fascinated by this. This is amazing to me. So, Schadenfreude. Schaden means damage or harm. Freude means joy. Damage joy. So- okay. So, there is an English word that's its equivalent. It's called epicaricacy.
Yep.
Epicaricacy is rejoicing at or taking fun, getting pleasure from the misfortune of others. Uh, Etymology from Greek epi, meaning upon, charis, meaning joy, and kakos, meaning evil. Wow. That, hey, listen, this is basically fuck you, hooray for me.
Yeah.
That's what Schadenfreude is. Fuck you, hooray for me. I'm cheering at your misfortune. Horrible. And this is a long time ago we talked about this. I think that's one of the most poisonous things that the human mind can process is Schadenfreude, taking joy in the damage of other people, because you're cheering on the damage just because you think it's like, okay, so you got the village catches a rapist red-handed, you know it's him, there's no question he did it. You drag him outside, you cut all his limbs off, you burn his body. If you as a town can gather around that and find joy in it, you're all broken. You're all broken. Yes, he needs to be dealt with to the fullest extent of whatever your law is, even if that means beheading him. But that should be a somber day. This is not a time for celebration. I'm sorry. Because what you're cheering is the chopping off of limbs and the burning of a body. We don't even have to get to the end of that sentence when you say, but he was a rapist. This is what you're cheering for. And that's what you're creating an index for in your brain. So when it's time to burn somebody who committed a thought crime, you're not going to have the mental fortitude to draw a line between, well, this guy was a rapist and that guy. No, you've already cheered for cutting people up and burning their bodies. So let's just get to it.
Yeah, there can't be any buffets in the execution waiting room.
No.
There can't no buffets,
No.
no music. There shouldn't be it. You don't bring big speakers. It's not a festival. It's not an event. I agree with you. There should be some sort of attitude about it. The same that we have with, killing animals. Should be kind of the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And somber. Like, I'm not happy to do this. It's the way that shit works. I didn't make these concepts of fucking protein and amino acids and energy. This is all shit that it precedes me. But while I'm here, I need something. I need fuel, and you make good fuel. So I appreciate your sacrifice. Thank you. Like, just a different attitude about it. But I think really what it comes down to is what we've done is we've created a society where we've made it very, very easy by weaponizing people's compassion against them to enable people to always have an excuse for their own flaws and to never make any progress. It's a debilitating thing, man.
Yeah.
And so whether that video was legit or not, I think its assessment of where we're at and where the national dialogue is super on point.
Yeah.
It's two people who have long forgotten the problem they're even trying to solve, who have totally missed the point of the original reason for talking to each other, and just descend into an endless feedback loop of excuse making, and my character is on I must rush to defend my character.
Right.
It's no matter what the conversation starts as, at some point you're just on an endless feedback of, you're doing this because I'm a racist. No, I super duper promise I'm not a racist. And that's it. And that's all there is. And the original issue has been lost. And nobody learns, nobody grows, Nobody gets deeper understanding from the people they were talking to. The original character flaws that led to the friction in the first place never get addressed, never get acknowledged, never get improved.
It's a fact. It's an absolute fact. We're screwing ourselves over. Speaking of screwing ourselves over, I saw this guy. What's his name? Ken Paxton. Is that his name? A guy who is a Texas Attorney General who's been talking about. He said if the government decides to overturn or repeal anti-sodomy laws, he's ready to start prosecuting. So this guy is focused on, yeah, Kim Paxton. He's ready to start sending people to jail for oral sex and anal sex.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's where the I think Lawrence v. Texas Texas is where the landmark case came from. That
Right.
basically got the government out of people's bedrooms. So I guess it's only fitting that if there's any kind of overturnment of that decision, that Texas would be the first state to start want to locking people up for getting some ass play or head.
Which is amazing to me. That's pretty amazing because I feel like, well, on the surface, it seems like a unenforceable set of laws. It's,
Absolutely.
especially when I found out the beginning, the thing that the event that, if I'm not mistaken, set off the Stonewall protest, everything that was happening with that, and trans and gay people, standing up for their rights, and they had some riots. I forget the person who led the riots, but it's like a famous trans woman who led the riots. But if I'm not mistaken, all of this started because the police, because of the anti-sodomy laws that they had, the police raided a gay bar. Right? And I'm not laughing at the fact that they did this or that they're targeting homosexuals. That's not what the funny part is. The funny part is cops sitting around like, okay, we don't like all this gay stuff. We don't like it, but how do we enforce sodomy laws? Like, how are we gonna catch people doing sexual acts? Oh, just fucking storm the bar. They got glory holes and they do butt stuff right at the bar. Like, let's just run up in there, and it worked. To me, the moral of that story is not look at how they oppress us and look at how they target us. The moral of that story could possibly be let's not do butt stuff in public places. Am I wrong for that assessment? Is that bigoted?
Absolutely.
Oh, my bad.
You might as well have a hood riding on the back of a dinosaur right
You're
now.
right. Yeah, you're right. That's dinosaur big. I'm sorry. Who am I to tell people to not glory hole strangers at the club? I mean, that's not my business, right? They're consenting adults.
Well, in their defense, I agree with you. You know, sex stuff should be private, right? But you know, if you're a part of a marginalized community, it's a lot harder to figure out. I don't know. Well, maybe they do sense each other. I don't know. I don't know enough about gay culture to really speak on it, but I would assume it was probably pretty tough to find other people. Now, granted,
There was a gay bar in Greenwich
but, but
Village.
yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right. It's like I'm like you don't know who's gonna be gay, so you just stick your dick in a hole and you hope for the best. It's like, no, you could have probably talked to the person as he was washing his hands and took him home. You didn't have to stick your dick in a hole and wait for anybody. Like the person who would have, sucked your dick anonymously maybe would have gone home with you. I don't know. So maybe you
Yeah,
have
dude. I
maybe
feel
you
like,
could have just met there
excuse me.
and took it to the crib.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like even if you want to do some wild shit like that, I'm sure there's somebody who can be like, yeah, just come to my house. We could just fucking do it. I don't even give a shit. But to take it to a public place in Greenwich Village is a bar. It's an inn. People come here to get, well, obviously they come here to get more than just beers and peanuts. But this is what that place is for. Like, this is a public establishment, brick and
Right.
mortar establishment. Is this the best place to do butt stuff? I don't know. I don't. The cops shouldn't be able to just be like, all right, we want to catch some people doing some illegal shit. We just gonna run up in the nightclub because I know they doing it in there. It takes a lot more work to get a
But
warrant for a house Like, what are they doing that's illegal? Like, we think they're banging each other up the butt. Like, I need a warrant for that. Like, this is, if it's in public, that's lewd and lascivious activity. If you're at somebody's house, that's like, this is a private domicile. The rules are different. The rules are different. I'm just saying. How are they going to enforce sodomy laws if you're not doing glory holes at the local Walmart?
I'll tell you exactly. With the Google Dot, with Amazon Alexa, with all of these smart security cameras and all this shit in this house.
Oh.
Wait till they start turning all the footage over.
Oh God.
And this is also too why the country's finished. It's done. Just accept it, build, start investing in your little remote cult yourself. Do it today. Don't tarry, don't delay. Burn the midnight oil. Make friends, grow some crops. This shit is over. Because we're talking about having a country where in one part of the country, there's a dude saying, I will break into your house and find evidence of butt stuff and put you behind bars. Nothing will stop me. Regular rape is still going to go unsolved. The murder rate's going to increase. And I'm pretty sure there's some children being trafficked in Wayfair cabinets. But listen, I'm going to hunt you down. And I'm going to break into your house, and I'm going to use the Alexa transcripts and video footage procured from the fucking spying apparatus that you paid to have set up in your house so that you could lower the thermostat while you were at work from your smartphone. For that luxurious feature, I'm going to catch you doing butt stuff, and I'm going to haul your ass to prison. And then meanwhile, on the other side of town, there is completely butt bald naked men. Johnson's out at parades in front of kids. No problem.
Wow.
These are two cultures that cannot be reconciled. You can't get them in the same room. This is a fucking fat Indian and a fucking annoying granola dreadlock white bitch just yelling at each other's face, stopping traffic. They are eternally locked in gridlock. There's no progress to be made. You can't make these, and they're both demanding unreasonable things.
Yeah.
It's unreasonable to tell two consenting adults how to give themselves sexual pleasure. It's completely unreasonable.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Want that. For that to be your desire. Listen, I want to stop world hunger. I want to stop global conflict. I want a more harmonious world.
But first.
What I absolutely what I can't tolerate in that world is to know that somewhere out of my eyesight, beyond my ability to gauge and measure it, men are penetrating each other's butts. The fact that that's happening means I can't quit.
I can't sleep at night. I can't sleep at night. Knowing that somebody's taking it up the tailpipe. I can't sleep. I can't get, how am I supposed to get to the homelessness, the starving, the price of gas? How can I focus on any of that knowing that somebody's getting it up the butt? I can't.
We can't even begin to create jobs and solve global hunger. That's not even on, none of that shit is anywhere on the agenda until we get to this butt stuff. So that's just completely unreasonable. And by that same token, it's like, well, listen, I want people to accept us. I want people to acknowledge our existence. I don't want to be afraid of violence. Cool. I'm with you. I want the same rights. Give me tax breaks. I want health insurance benefits. Cool. I'm with you. I'm 100%. Also, I want to be able to pull my dick out in front of your kids.
Hold on. Well, if we can't do that, then scrap the whole thing then. Fuck it.
Right. Fuck acceptance. Fuck the health benefits.
No.
If I can't go to your parade and stick my dick out in front of your kids, there was even one where it was like a giant, like a costume with a dick shooting out semen, which I'm assuming was just, it wasn't real semen. Where would you get all this?
Assuming.
But I'm assuming it was like one of those volcano experiments. Like it was like a what's it called? Paper mache.
Yeah, with the vinegar and
giant paper mache penis, and the dude is just walking around spraying the crowd with simulated money shots, and it's like, if I can't do that to your kids, then scrap all the other shit. these are both just unreasonable positions. Like I think our best shot, if the country is not going to be destroyed, is that all of the people who would agree that both of those extremes are unreasonable and just cut ties with those. Like, we need to exile all of those people to the same state and let them work it out. That's what Wyoming needs to become. Wyoming needs to become hardcore right wing. God hates the gays, and I should be able to pull my dick out in front of your kids, and let them either fight it out, work it out, find middle ground, or live in a segregated arrangement just amongst themselves. Because I don't think that the vast majority of people, that these are even issues for them, that
Right.
most people even care.
It can't be. It can't be. Nobody thinks it's going. It might get more serious than a lot of people thought that it would, because I didn't think I would see, especially this quickly after something so major as the Roe v. Wade thing happened. I didn't think I would see them jump right into the next. Like, you know what? Now let's start looking at these sodomy laws. And then next, what about interracial? I'm not. I mean, gay marriage and that. Like, it's the slippery slope kind of thing. They just going head first into it. They're like, "Fuck it, let's get it cracking." And who knows what they're working towards? I don't know what the end game is here, but they don't seem to give a shit. And it's Texas, like you said.
Wait a minute. Hold on though. But who says they want to overturn um Loving versus Virginia though?
Oh no, this is what people are saying is on the same. Could be on the same list because it's just people doing what they want to do. So if you can take out, if you can overturn gay marriage, logically, like if you could say two men can't get married or two women can't get married, then I think it's pretty decent to follow logically that there could be some people in those positions of power that, that might be like, well, since we did that, what about interracial marriage? Because at one time that shit was illegal too. Like, would they really just stop at gay marriage? You don't think interracial marriage would come up at all?
Well, I think sodomy laws, and I mean, if I didn't hear that dude said that, but obviously there's an appetite for it.
Yeah.
And anybody that wouldn't, because here's the thing too, and this is why I can't fuck with politics, because a lot of these same people who I had to agree with, not necessarily because I like them on any kind of like deep level, but I have to respect the fact that what they're saying is correct. I have to agree with them because they're saying the correct things. A huge swath of that constituency that talked about how ridiculous some of these notions from the woke community were, how ridiculous some of these notions about gender identity were, where scientifically, objectively, they were absolutely right. But a big swath of those folks are also like really militant with some of these other ideas.
Right.
And so, like, that's the problem. So
Right.
I have to agree with you on these things because what you're saying is true. Like, a lot of this shit that's being proclaimed as indisputable truth that's all dogmatic and repeated in the media over and over, I agree with you. All that shit is lies. It's not backed up by statistics. It's not backed up by any kind of empirical data or any real honest appraisal or analysis of the information that's available. You couldn't draw these conclusions if you looked at the numbers. You could only draw these conclusions if you were led by a really emotional, heartstring pulling narrative, a story that somebody was telling you. But it's just a story. It's
Right.
just a story to prove a point. It's not substantive. So I get that you see through that. But these are the same people that aren't going to be reasonable and say, because I'd like to think that people would get up immediately and say, slow down, dude. Like, slow down. We
Yeah.
got Roe versus Wade, not necessarily overturned in that we stopped abortion. Abortions, it's now a state decision. So if you want to live in a state and a community that doesn't do it, you can. But to immediately after that say, okay, let's start looking at sodomy laws now that the door is open. And I get what they were saying too. Like, the door is open because the same, I guess, legal argument that justified Roe versus Wade is justifying some of these other decisions,
Right.
where it's kind of like not codified in law. All you have is a legal precedent from a Supreme Court decision. That's not necessarily going to be enough to preserve it. And the fact that this Roe versus Wade toppled, and there's no longer going to be, like a federal mandate for it, or the, or this decision that's kind of set precedent, then inevitably it is probably going to overturn sodomy, and make it maybe a state's issue, right? And since Texas already has laws on the books, this dude's going to pursue it. I would like to think that there'd be a whole bunch of people in his political group that would be like, dude, that's crazy and unreasonable. But I don't think so. I think these people are so jaded and pissed off because of the woke supremacy they've had to live under for the last 6-7 years or so, that they're just ready to completely overreach and be assholes and do everything that made people hate them in the early 2000s,
Yeah.
instead of just taking the win. But the only point I was trying to make is, okay, there's somebody that openly advocated for getting rid of sodomy, and there is enough, I think, people within that movement that would probably make some noise. I don't think it represents the majority, but obviously somebody's already shot the first shot over the bow. Hey, that shit gets overturned. We're breaking in your houses and looking at the Alexa footage.
Yeah.
But nobody, you'd have to show me where anybody came out publicly and said, all right, it's time to go after Loving versus Virginia.
Well, all the dominoes haven't fallen yet. See, nobody was talking about sodomy laws until Roe v. Wade. Now they talk about sodomy laws. So once these dominoes keep dropping, eventually somebody's gonna be like, "Well, I'm sorry, Clarence, but I'm sure you guys love each other. But look, I don't know if this is what God wants."
I'll be the first to admit that I misjudged the national culture if that happens.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm not surprised that there's somebody about the sodomy thing, but I would be shocked. I would be shocked after Lawrence v. Texas gets overturned if somebody said it's time to move on to Loving versus.
That might not be the next one in line, but you do see how, if the targets were all lined up in a single file behind each other, Loving Virginia is definitely one of those targets in that single file line. With all of this shit concerning how people can, because this is just about consenting adults leaking up. Like, if you can say, I don't want two dudes to get married, why can't you say, I don't want a black dude and a white woman to get married? That's what you're talking about, in essence, is these two people deciding to be together and be recognized legally. So if you got a problem of one configuration of two people being together, why would another configuration of two people being together be any different?
Okay, so this is okay. I can't see a scenario in which there would be any real. I don't think there's enough of a public appetite to make that happen in any significant way. I don't. I do see them challenging gay marriage. I do see that, because the fact that this dude didn't even go to gay marriage, he said, no, I don't give a fuck if you want to be married or not.
No, butt stuff. We're going after butt stuff.
I'm going after butt stuff.
And BJ is quiet as it's kept, because that's on the same list, which is shit, dude. That's psychotic.
I didn't know that. I don't think I've ever looked up the word sodomy. I just assumed it was butt stuff. But
no, sodomy includes oral sex.
It's anything besides penis, vagina.
Yep.
So cunnilingus too.
Yeah, everything, all of it is sodomy. Everything they was doing in Sodom and Gomorrah to get it burnt down, all that shit, shit they was doing.
About angel rape, but maybe I didn't read the story right.
Oh no, the angels were coming there to tell them we about to fuck y'all up, so they was already wilding.
Oh, okay. They were doing butt stuff.
Yeah, and God was like, you know what? I can't. I told these people to be fruitful and multiply, and they're fucking shooting at each other's colons. I can't take this.
This is the reason why I think there's so much more to the biblical narrative that people should research. Because just think about that. It's a dude that's like, look, I'm not talking to you. I'm not fucking with you unless you cut your dick skin off.
Right.
Cut your dick skin off, or I'm not even. I can't fuck with you at all.
I won't even look at you, bro.
I won't even see you. Right. Moses, I'm gonna kill your fucking baby unless you bring me his dick skin this very moment. This is the kind of unreasonable demand that you're dealing with. And then a whole city is like, look, if y'all just aren't sticking dicks and pussies, I'm killing everybody. No variations.
Right. Anything,
No
this says,
fingers, mouths, nothing.
yeah, any anal or oral sex between people or sexual activity between a person and so bestiality is also covered under sodomy. But it may also mean any non-procreative sexual activity. Originally, yep,
nah.
any. So if you fucking for fun, it's sodomy.
Uh, okay, yeah.
The term sodomy, which is derived from the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in the book of Genesis, was commonly restricted to anal sex, but sodomy in many countries have criminalized the behavior, anal, oral, everything else that's considered non-procreative.
Wow, that's just too.
Yeah.
Maybe we just grew up in such a sexually corrupt society that we can't even imagine just fucking for procreation.
Nah, I'm sorry, bro. There's no way. There's no way that you created this that you created this entire connection between men and women, and you didn't intend people to use their mouths on each other. There's no
It's,
way.
dude, do you know how much cunnilingus has just saved me in a crutch?
Oh, who hasn't it saved?
It's just like, I don't know what's wrong. I'm tired. Maybe I drank too much coffee. Let me just eat the shit out of your pussy. Like,
Yeah.
take that away. You know how many
Yeah.
relationships evaporate overnight?
Oh, listen, bro. That you can earn yourself some serious leeway. You do that, for real, for real. Not to that, and that's like a boomerang. Not to mention the BJ you get on the other end of that. But we ain't gonna talk about that. But I'm just saying, there's no way you didn't intend people to not use their mouths on each other. It's ridiculous because it's too perfect. It's not like you feel like you're doing something wrong and it can't get you there. The only way that you can actually get there would be penis and vagina. Everything else would just be like rubbing, foreplay. Like it feels kind of nice, but it's not going to finish me off. That's not the case, pal. That is not the case. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, dude. These guys are wild. Texas is bugging, bro. They're ready to get it cracking.
I would say you're right. I misjudged, or I jumped the gun. I don't think it would be on a big scale, but you would. You would have places in Georgia, you'd have places in Louisiana, you'd have places in Mississippi, which absolutely would enact within their community.
Yeah.
It might only be a couple counties, but they would definitely, just as a, because typically probably in those counties there's not much interracial fucking going on anyway, but just as kind of a, to make a statement, I retract my words. There would be a couple spots in America where they would say, okay, since that's been overturned, we're putting these misogyny laws back on the books.
Listen, we talking about the South. We talking about just Texas in specific. So I found a little article here earlier, and just to let you know the type of shit Texas is on. So in Texas, it is illegal to sell your organs. If you personally wanted to sell a kidney to somebody, you can't do it. It's illegal. You can get fined $4,000 for trying to sell your organs. It is illegal to commit a crime in Texas without giving 24-hour notice. You have to give 24-hour notice to victims. It could be written or in person. That's what makes certain things illegal in Texas, is failure to give 24-hour notice. Okay?
Well, that's got to pertain to like evicting somebody or
no, to commit a crime.
That doesn't make any sense because it's already a crime. It's a violation.
Not if you give 24 hours notice. You
Wait
call
a
a
minute.
bar and you say, I'm going to rob you in the next 24 hours, and you actually rob the bar. It's possible that you can get away with it because you gave 24-hour notice.
All right, I'm gonna have to seek out legal counsel. That's insane.
It is illegal to be in possession of the Encyclopedia Britannica collection in Texas because the Encyclopedia Britannica collection has a section on alcohol creation, and it can teach you how to homebrew 200 gallons of alcohol. Oh no, it says you can homebrew a certain amount, but they have rules and regulations, and they have writings on how you can distill your own alcohol. So you're not allowed to own the Encyclopedia Britannica collection in Texas. You have to a $5 permit is required in Texas to walk barefoot. You got to get a $5 permit. Yeah, this is Texas. These are laws that are still on the books. It is illegal to carry wire cutters in your pocket.
What are they called? Like blue laws? Like, don't all states have laws?
Yeah, like ridiculous shit that nobody's really trying to enforce, but they still on the books. It's like y'all don't be doing shit. Y'all can't go through this and be like, you know what, this is stupid. Let's get this out of here. No, they're just like, just keep it, bro.
We won't enforce it, but we're gonna. That is, it's almost like the government always wants. Listen, we may not arrest you for this. Well, why don't you just take the law off on books? Well, let's not be hasty. There may come a time where we want to arrest you for this shit.
Right.
Let's just leave it on the books.
You never know. Like we saw this black guy and we totally we profiled him. We were gonna lock him up, but he wasn't doing nothing. But then he started sassing us. What do we got? Well, he's got a pair of wire cutters in his pocket. Lock him up.
Or he's barefoot without his $5 permit.
He's barefoot without a permit. Get him out of here, bro. Get him out of here. Now you go to jail. And now we can start tacking on other charges, resisting arrest and like all this other shit. It's Louisiana is a $500 fine for sending somebody an unsolicited pizza. I love it.
If you're somebody a pizza?
If you're over 14 years old, you cannot trick or treat in Virginia.
Yeah. This is out of control. This is the bloat of Babylon.
This is where we live, yo. This is the country we live in. So I feel like there's a lot of places on this map, especially on the lower half of it, that would especially a bunch of counties, like you said, if that was brought up legitimately in law, I guarantee you there's people who'd be like, you know what? We ain't issuing marriage certificates to interracial couples. Fuck it. We don't have to. Leave it up to the states. It's just states' rights. States' rights, I mean, come on.
I don't think it's a bad thing, man. I think if anything, it's just gonna help us to create the segregation that we've always wanted.
Yep.
Like this, that's really what we haven't said it all out loud, but if you listen to all the ridiculous rhetoric, that's pretty much what everybody is saying. We're incompatible. We don't want to live near each other anymore. And so, I don't know. I feel like that's the best solution. Just every state is going to cater to one end of the spectrum. Some states will be more reasonable than others. Some states will be more middle of the road. Some states are breaking into your house looking for butt plugs. They're not the reasonable states. Some states are going to be like, look, we believe that all of your children should be naked and we should be naked in front of them, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a parade. And those states will attract who they're going to attract. But I think most people will find either one of those extremes unlivable. And so I guess it's kind of good that, these people I mean, yeah, it's balkanization or whatever, but basically it's the cult model that you've always preached, but just on a higher political level, where people would basically just start sectioning themselves off. Like, look, we want to be naked with kids, and now nobody have a problem with it. And we're going to be here in this state, here we're going to basically prosecute and throw gay people in prison. And that's how we get down in this state. And everybody's kind of pretty much section themselves off, because those places will do what they do, put up their flags, and people will be like, nope, not going there. And I think that's good. I think that's good. I think that'll help everything progress more organically, and everyone will just be more happy. Because people won't feel like they're trapped. People won't feel like they're beholden and there's no alternative, and they have to agree with all this shit that, for a time, in the 70s and 80s, evangelicals were trying to shove everything down everybody else's throats, and now their left-wing equivalent has emerged, and they're kind of doing the same thing. And so I think it's good. I think it's good that people split off into their own little communities and do shit their own way and produce that society. Like, okay, you've got a state where, homosexuality is completely banned. Cool. It's going to be the worst decorated worst dressed state ever.
Yep.
It's gonna be all the buildings are gonna be boring, all the art's gonna be but cool. That's what you're going for. Go for it, and it'll be good to visit those areas. I'd like to see how the fucking the grooming parade state does. I'd like to see how the sodomized hunters states are gonna look. Like
sodomy SWAT team, the sodomy
right,
SWAT.
That's what.
Swatomy. That's amazing, bro.
Calling the Sodomy team. We saw them hold hands before they went in the building. They're probably doing butt stuff.
Yeah,
let's see if we get the Alexa feed.
The justice system, artificial intelligence, automatically issued a warrant for your arrest when we heard you scream, "Destroy my prostate," or through your Alexa. So the Swatomy's on its way.
Dude, that's the future. Cool. Listen. I'm ready. But as long as you know the rules, I want that. I want those people committing sodomy to be safe. Move to the state that embraces your culture, and then everybody will be vindicated in some way, because like this charge, gay people, they're all groomers, they're all, child molesters. Like, I think that's kind of harsh. I think that's unfounded. It's like, well, statistically they put up the bigger numbers. Okay, so maybe a higher numbers. It's still a minority within the minority. You're not talking about, how can you paint with this huge stroke? Most of these gay people aren't fucking kids, and there's plenty of heterosexuals that are fucking kids. But if you want to frame it in that way, now there's an opportunity, because maybe you don't want to live where the Swatomy team can hunt you down, but you're like, listen, I definitely want to do butt stuff, but I'm not down with these fucking kids being naked, right? And you can live in that community that draws that line. Like, it's pretty much giving everybody the freedom to project the values that they want. Because right now, everybody's kind of held hostage by the two parties to choose a team and espouse those values, even if you don't agree with everything that they're doing. So yeah. I think this gives an opportunity for more specialization. Like, hey, we're doing the butt stuff, but we're not touching the kids. Welcome to Portland. That's a great thing to have on the sign when you drive in. We're not Wyoming.
We're not Wyoming. They hating on the other states.
Right.
Right on the sign as you drive in. That's amazing. Yeah, it could get crazy. It's already getting pretty crazy, but it definitely has room to get crazier.
Yeah.
It definitely has room to get crazier. I think they're hastening the inevitable, whether that inevitable is people kind of sinking into their intentional communities and switching states to places that's going to be more conducive to the lives they want to live, or you're hastening the apocalypse. I'm not sure which is which. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that the people who run the government are organized psychopaths with religious addiction, and I think a lot of them, especially religious ones, do want to see the world end because they think that's when God's going to come back. So I think they are stacking the tinder on top of some shit that they're ready to let it burn down if that's what it takes. But there is something special in there when it comes to deeply religious people. I know I'm related to people who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and they think Jesus can't come until the world ends, until all the bad shit happens and it's all fucked up. So technically, I mean, if you want Jesus to come back, that means part of your mind has accepted that the world needs to completely end and be fucked. Like, you want the apocalypse to happen. You don't want things to be fixed. The Bible talks about that. Don't resist evil, because God has his own plan. So look, when shit start going crazy and people are starving and dying, don't try to fix it, because I'm not coming back until the last possible moment, fourth quarter, buzzer beater with the shit. Like, I'm coming back like that. But if y'all fixing shit, you fixing your own problems, then I'm going to just chill. I got my own plan, and I need to see it work out till its end before I show up. So that means you're trying to, the lazy Christians and Jehovah's Witnesses, stuff like that, the lazy ones just want to wait for it to happen. The ones who have some power and influence may want to hasten the apocalypse. That's all I'm saying. That's a possibility. And the other side just want to burn it all down because they feel left out. The whole left is like Killmonger. Y'all didn't love me when I was a kid, so I'm going to burn down the village. That's what it is. We want to tear it all down. You left us out. I didn't see myself in your nuclear family. When I was growing up and I was watching Family Ties, they didn't have no gay people, no trans people, no non-binary people. I don't like it, so now I want to destroy everything.
So let's collapse the dollar and starve.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, let's fuck it all up. One side's like, let's fuck it all up, because then God will come back. The other side, let's fuck it all up, because then we can build a utopia. Okay, all right.
I don't know. And I don't know if anyone's ever considered that maybe it's just an analogy. Maybe it's ideas that, hey, anytime you have a city, eventually you're going to get disease from the overcrowding. You're going to run out of resources to import, and prices are going to go up, and you're going to have food shortage. And this in turn is going to lead to violence. Like, maybe it's literally some horses flying out of the sky, or maybe it's just the qualities that are associated with the inevitable end of every civilization that spreads itself too thin, falls apart morally and culturally, and doesn't no longer are people bound in a common purpose, and shit just falls apart. And these are the kinds of things that you see happen, and maybe destroying America on purpose isn't going to necessarily give you the spectacular supernatural outcome that you think it will, maybe.
Hey, listen, all I know is if we want to figure anything out, the first thing we need to do is stop people from giving it to each other up the butt. That has got to be step one on any serious person's itinerary when it comes to how to fix the world. Because if people are doing each other up the butt, I mean, nothing else is going to find its way. We got to start there. It's clearly the most important thing on the agenda.
Who's the dude, Ken?
Yeah, Ken Paxton.
Ken, look to him for guidance.
Yeah, Ken Paxton has all the answers. He can't sleep at night. He can't sleep.
Doesn't it just sound gay though on his part? Like,
oh,
doesn't
please.
It sound like I'm left out?
Please count down to finding him in a hotel room with escorts from what's the Grinder? Count down to him and his Grinder shit being doxxed.
His Grinder profile.
Yeah, you know he's on it, bro. If that's where you stand, if that's your position, there's only one way to arrive at. We need to stop people from having anal sex. There's only one route to that place. Is I don't like the fact that I like anal sex so much. So we need to stop. We need to make it illegal for everybody.
And you know what? And he's gonna be like, but listen, I want to be delicate about this, so I'm gonna form my own one-man SWAT team. And then he's just breaking into the house, and he's like, yo, I heard there was some sodomy going on here. Some sodomy that I wasn't invited to.
He's got on a balaclava and some assless chaps. Ski mask with his ass out. Like, I know what y'all doing in here. I'm just going to back into the room slowly.
And whatever happens, happens. Because there's no way that your official position is, I am bothered because there's sodomy going on that I don't know about. I want to know about it all. I want to know where it's happening. I want to know who's doing it. Why? I'll show you why. I'll show you when my one-man SWATomy team shows up with a baklava and assless chaps.
Round them all up. It's like, so we don't have room for them at the county jail. I built the overflow on my property. I got it all figured out. Trust me. I'll be the warden.
I've been waiting for you motherfuckers to overturn Roe versus Wade for the longest.
That's all I needed. As soon as they overturned Roe versus Wade, I called the guys. I got a blueprint for the overflow facility.
Build the bathhouse that can service 80 at a time.
Right.
Get the one big open space bathhouse.
That's gonna be his next move, is to put a bathhouse downtown. He's like, no, this is a trap. It's just a trap, so we can catch.
Because if you would go here, clearly I know what you're about.
Oh yeah, it's like, you ever see the cartoons where you put the little box so you got the stick to hold it up? That's a bathhouse basically to catch all the gays. Yeah, this dude's weird. He's definitely strange. There's no way in the world that's your platform, bro. If anal sex is your platform, you're you're definitely gay, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You haven't come clean to yourself. You may be having some cognitive dissonance, but there's a lot going on, man. I feel like there's deeper stuff to worry about than who's gay. But you never know. Hey, this is the world we live in. But before we get out of here today, I definitely want to document some of the ideas that we've been kicking around about what I think is a very important topic, and I think people who listen and understand will agree. But we started to describe a post global warming world, and in this world, like actually before this, a long time ago, if you remember, I think we created the prequel foundation for this world because we figured out that global warming was a hoax to keep the planet cold. And everybody knows that the reptiles, you're listening to Alex Jones, everybody knows it's the reptiles that run this thing and the vampires that run this thing. And they're trying to keep the world cold and dark by having us battle against the sun and the heat and those type of conditions. So somewhere we laughed about how once black people find out all over the world, once black people find out that white folks are just trying to stop the world from getting too hot and stop the sun from killing them, that they just go outside and start spraying aerosol spray into the atmosphere, just to, again, hasten the apocalypse. That seems to be the theme here for this episode, hastening the apocalypse. All sides are trying to speed up the end of the world. But if you figure out that the planet-wide oppressor can't take the sun, and you decide to hasten global warming, an extremely interesting world can emerge from those conditions, and it's basically, white slavery could take place, and it wouldn't be the wicked slavery that everybody has in their mind. They would actually, because you can't make them work the fields and do, like, they can't do that. That's the whole reason we have American slavery in the first place, is that they can't work the fields. They don't want to build the barns and buildings and all of that. So you'd have to find a way to keep them sheltered from the sun, but also make them as effective and efficient as you possibly could. So could you lay out the beautiful understanding that we're approaching here with the benefits of post global warming white slavery?
So first, this is um this is just a jewel that I don't know how it hasn't caught on more and become more widespread. That global warming is absolutely a hoax. It's absolutely a hoax perpetuated by white people to prevent the Africanization of the planet. That's what they call it.
Facts, no
Call
debate.
it global warming now. But what they were calling it in their white papers, I have their white papers, I've got the documents.
Mm.
They were calling it the Africanization of the planet because it would essentially make the climate worldwide like the temperate zones, like the equator, like Africa. And it would obviously make it intolerable. So the whole hoax of global warming is white supremacy, in that we need to keep it cool for the vampires. We can't let the whole planet be like Africa. That it would be unbearable.
Yeah.
We already didn't do well pre global warming. Is why we had to go get Africans to be slaves. The Irish sucked. We tried to get the Irish to do it. These indentured servants are bums. They're passing out. They're getting blisters all over themselves from the sun. They can't hack it. It's too tough for them. So, yeah. So after people start buying their hairspray cans, they go out. There's like, why you don't even use hairspray? Like, no, this is cracker repellent. Like, we got to spray as much of this shit into the atmosphere as we possibly can. This is fucking white roach spray. Just spray as much as you can into the atmosphere until these motherfuckers evaporate. Just do it. And people caught on to it, and black people became the single biggest purchasers of Aquanet hairspray, and fucked up the atmosphere to the point that they brought on the inevitable Africanization of the planet. And then what was left was pretty much defeated white dudes who they had to stay in some sort of cave at all times. It just you go out into the sun, within 10 minutes you're ready to pass out.
Mm.
So naturally they were unable to conduct a protracted war, or to keep their range. You can't run the planet when everything is falling apart and none of you can go outside. It's hard to stay in charge and keep the reins of things. And so eventually, black people just rise to prominence and take over the infrastructure, everything. But
Mm.
they're bad with their money, and so all of the white people become accountants. And then basically you just have these little dens of accountant slaves that are completely put into check, and there doesn't even have to be any like real violence. You know what I mean? Like all of the brutal whipping and shit, like that scene from Roots, like, what's your name? It was Toby, Kunta Kente, and he's whipping the shit out of him. Some big black dude could just like flick the little accountant in the ear.
Right.
Like, name is Daquan. All right, name is Daquan. You're right.
That's important. All the white slaves have to have stereotypically black names. We gonna use all the names from that Key and Peele sketch about the fucking recruits, the guys going into the football draft. All of those names, Jaquarius, Jack Theratrix, all that shit. Yeah, all they have to have stereotypical black names because that helps with the psychology of being a white slave. Yeah, it's beautiful. Like you said, you don't have to whip them. All you got to do is put them out in the sun. And we don't have to do too much for the escapees because the people who escape the plantation, even if they leave at night, by the time the sun comes up in the morning, you just find them a mile away, passed out and sunburnt, and you just bring them back all blistery and red and shit. Like, you see what happens when y'all run. You see what happens. We telling you it's for your own good. You can't take this heat. I love enslaved minds more than just enslaved bodies. Having them as accountants and people who do the bookkeeping and shit like that.
That's it. And they tell them the stories. It's like, listen, we're relegating you just to keeping the books and finance. Because if we ever let you guys start doing some other shit, you're gonna make some shit that'll destroy the planet. We need to tell you these stories. Like, this is how people were killed and the planet was polluted. Like, you guys got too good. Okay, this is for not only your good but the good of all of us. If we just relegate you to accountants,
Yeah.
that this is what we need you to do.
That's all we need. That's all. Is that really even that bad? This is what a lot of y'all was already doing.
I don't know. I feel like if we could get this to Jordan Peele, we could get this movie made.
I think it needs to be a TV show. I see 5 seasons of this shit, bro. I see 5 seasons of it because there's internal struggle. There's all the white folks that just they want out and they want to take the world back, and other ones is like, yeah, this is actually a lot easier. All we got to do is keep the books and shit like. And then he's a coon because he's accepted or whatever they would call him. He's a polar bear. I don't know what they would call him.
I'm a field accountant.
It's amazing. It's so much. It's so much to mine in here. We've seen enough black slavery stories. We've seen enough. Nobody really wants to see like a fake go back in time and give black slaves Uzis or some shit. Like, no, nobody want to see that shit. But global warming Africanizes the planet. White people can't go outside for more than 10 minutes without having life-threatening sunburns. And black people use this opportunity to take over the world and use white people to just be like the Oz. He just they turn all the levers, they do the bookkeeping, and black people just be out in the world chilling. Unaccosted, right? Because that would be, everything would be perfect. If you could subdue the white man, there wouldn't be any more issues, right? There wouldn't be like any black conflict, right? Couldn't be.
Well, this is the thing, and this is in our signature style of making sure no one is left unoffended. We've worked into this scenario ways that everyone gets to be outraged.
Yep.
So one of the dynamics is, yeah, just that. The moment that white people are regulated to the accountant space in day-to-day society, black people immediately become completely harmonious, cooperative. It really is the utopia that's always been proclaimed before the entrance of the white man, right?
Hilarious.
So, of course this will make white people upset, but not upset enough. So the other thing is is the cuckery. because
Mm.
to also offend the black community, um, black men still love white women. Can't get enough of these white women. So they don't want the accountants to be completely bred out of existence, right? But the only way, because once you get in the prima noctive, you got all different shades of black, but you're not going to have white women. So you have to let them breed.
Yeah.
You have to let them breed just so that you can create much. But it's basically like a cuck hatchery. That's it. It's just nonstop cuckery. Like they only get enlisted to procreate to make more white women. But here's the thing.
Mm.
They want the softest, most delicate white women. So the only dudes that get to reproduce are the smoothest, softest, gentlest white men. So it it exercises eugenics to keep them even more weak.
Right.
That there can never be an uprising, and they're relegated to the accounting duties. And then you say, well, wait a minute, this sounds like it's just hateful to white people. Hold on, there's more. So that you can also piss off black people. The default state is you say, well, black people never really had a culture outside of, the culture that white people created in America and slavery. So there's not really this own culture. It's distinct now from Africa. African culture is something distinctive. So, what is the default cultural setting? And once black people live in a world where there's no racism, there's no oppression, and there's no subrogation to, subjugation and inner conflict, once those struggles dissipate, the default setting is the most offensive, like soft shoe slave talk, like all of the ways that stereotypical, like basically just think of the color purple. The way everybody talked in the color purple is the default setting for how black people communicate in this world. But they're in charge of everything, but it sounds like they talk like, say, this is how black people were always the most comfortable speaking, but just felt they couldn't speak that way in front of white people.
Yeah. No more code switching. They ain't got a code switch no more.
Right. So this whole movie, if you just saw it based on the uniforms and the accents, you'd think, oh my gosh, black people are still slaves. No, they're in charge of the whole planet.
Right.
And they have a cuck hatchery, where they make new white women to lust after.
All the multi-million-dollar companies, all the workers and the CEOs look like dudes from Philly. They look like drug dealers from Philly. It looked like the building got taken over by criminals, but those are just all the people who run it. Their pants are sagging, they're drinking 40s, they got gold teeth. Like, nah, nigga. Nah, we gotta do that motherfucking merger and shit, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, we had incredible profits in the third quarters we've had. It's just so offensive.
So offensive that they didn't do. It's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Just that little piece right there is redemptive enough to balance it out. Like without the threat of white rule and white subjugation, white oppression, this is what black people do. This is just where they're most comfortable. So they like, nah, let's get rid of the suits and all that shit. We gonna smoke weed in the boardroom. We gonna put our fucking Timbs on the table. That's how we roll. But we run into businesses. But we only run into businesses because the white folks are keeping the books and doing all the accounting.
Books. We got them in the mega caves.
Yeah, doing the ordering. They got air conditioning in the caves and shit.
Keep it cold as possible.
Oh my god! And we only breed the weakest ones. Breed the weakest ones. Matter of fact, they're so weak and cucked that they can't even breed on their own. And this is how you make it's beneficial for everybody. They can't even breed on their own because they're so cucked. They've been watching so much porn that all their neural pathways are formed into watching cuck porn. Right? So what you have to do is you got to get the black bulls to bang the women in front of them. Then they can actually get excited, and then they get milked by the man machine. And then they use that to freaking artificially inseminate all the white women.
So they don't even actually get to be chosen to bang.
No, they can't. They can't. Their excitement is only triggered by seeing their women be ravaged by the members of horses and the emissions of donkeys.
So now we've come up with the ministry of milking. The milking ministry.
Yeah.
So that we can produce delicate white women in the cuck hatchery.
Yeah, because think about it. What type of baby do you risk being born when you got a white guy who could just go in the room and get rock hard and bang this white woman? Like, no, these are not the qualities that we need to pass down. You know, we just need your minds more than anything else. So we take the completely cucked incel porn addicts, those guys. That's who we milk. The man machine milks them. But that's who passes their seed along. The incels. That's what they want anyway, right? The incels is like, these women want Chads. They don't want us. So now we switched it all up. And we have docile, respectable, obedient babies being born every go round.
Wow.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it. You get the curviest, most supple white women, and the weakest, spineless incel you can find. But I bet his numbers are through the roof when it comes to accounting, and that's who we breed. That's who we breed. That's not evil, right? I mean, we've accepted the breeding process that created LeBron James.
Listen, and here's the thing: it's arguably a more it's a more of a justified slavery.
It is,
and a kinder slavery.
It definitely is.
It's a less abuse. So you also get to parade around this idea. Was like, well, look, you know, there was kind of not a whole reckoning for all that other shit. This was some inevitable shit that had to go down. But just remember, you did some shit first. So there's a whole folklore attached to it, and they tell stories, you know, of how civilization fell when there was the great Africanization of the planet, and how the world looked when it was, you know, they would stack their caves high to the sky, 100-story cave monuments that they'd all live in, these little, you know, and the whole planet got polluted, and there was endless war, and the economy was always fluctuating, and the rich got rich and the poor got poor, and there was strife and no culture and no communal identity, and it was just awful, and everyone was alienated from each other and jerking off in their pods and eating bugs. It was horrible. And then finally enough hairspray was sprayed that it all fell over. And it's not that we hate you, it's that we know if we don't keep tabs on you, Yakub, you'll build some destructive shit.
Yeah.
So we're relegating you to accountants because that's the best thing for you.
Yeah.
Best thing for all of us. So it's just I you know, and it's self-congratulatory, but that's a fucking genius concept to see that dynamic at work, and it's got that hallmark Danger Gent signature, which is nobody can be fully happy.
Right.
Everyone has to confront something ugly and be upset in order to watch.
You know, white slaves would be one of the biggest commodities all over the planet. We'd be trafficking them all over the world because nobody else can breed them like America. You know, they didn't have the right structures in Europe to make the transition that we made. You know what I'm saying?
Counts can still do push-ups and shit. You ain't gonna get no supple bitches.
Nah, son.
Can do push-ups.
Nah, you out of here, bro. We don't need you. We don't need no more of those guys from Game of Thrones. None of those people who win the strongman competitions. All y'all motherfuckers died, got burnt, 3rd-degree sunburns. Y'all gone. Like, they didn't get to pass their genes on. There was nobody left but the Bill Gateses, and like there was those guys left. The weaklings, the incels, and we gathered them all up. We put them in the air conditioning, and now we're here. 30 years after the fall of Yakub, we have a brand new world, white slavery, but somehow people will still be offended by the depiction of the black people in power.
Right.
But why they gotta be like that though? Like, that's who they are without white rule.
Prosperous and harmonious.
Right. If they ain't no more black on black crime, they ain't shooting each other in the streets. None of that.
Yeah, but they're corny. Why the fuck's so corny?
I love it, dude. I love it. It's terrible, you know, but this is what we do. Some of the things that are going to be the best for us are going to taste terrible. That's medicine. That's medicine. If we can get somebody forward this to Key and Peele, I really feel like there's at least, I want to say 5, but there's at least 3 seasons worth of good material in here that will keep everybody who watches it pissed off. Asians will just be like, where we at? Like, oh, there ain't no Asians in the whole show. We just completely ignored it, like Seinfeld did black people. We'll just completely ignore them. There will never be an Asian on the show.
Oh shit. Yeah, it's yeah. That's the most American thing you can do.
Yeah, yeah, just
Nah,
ignore them.
it's our shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck it. Black people run shit now. White slavery in full effect. But at least it's better. It's not brutal. We don't have no whips. We've never whipped anybody. We never whipped anybody. It's like, if you want to leave, go ahead and leave. It's high noon. Walk right out the front. Just walk out. Just walk right out. And you watch him like one of those westerns. He's walking and he's faltering a little bit. He's fucking and he just falls down. Go get Jaquarius and bring him back, please.
I gotta see the uppity accountant get flicked in the ear. I just gotta see just thumps him right in the ear. Ow!
Yeah, and they start singing. They start singing old Caucasian spirituals about how they get abused so bad.
Oh no, it sounds like those old she shanties, like or
Yeah, yeah.
like AO row team singing and shit.
Hell yeah, little pirate shanties
Oh,
about how bad they've been
got the
treated.
numbers up and yeah.
I love it, dude. I love it. Just over exaggerating everything. Like, ain't nobody did shit to you. Relax. Relax. My ear, though. My supple white ears. I love
Right.
it, dude.
I mean, they're totally defeated. They're just pink and gentle and helpless, and they comply. But at the same time, the black people talk like slaves.
Right.
Talk like
Right.
slaves.
They
It
never let
fucks
it go.
with your head. It fucks with your head. I want to see that. I want to see that series. At first, I was just on that. Let me see that movie, but you convinced me. Eye on Sky and Back to Earth are the movies.
Yes.
But you're right. This is a 3 to 5 seasons with Netflix
Definitely.
with Jordan Peele to direct and produce.
Hulu wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Not at all.
But Netflix, I feel like Netflix would be like, you know what? They'd be like, you know what? I like this. Especially if we could get a big name involved. I think they go for it. I feel like there's enough white guilt being forced into the world right now that somebody with money who wants to be an ally would completely greenlight this shit. They'd be like, you know what? This is something that should be explored. I think it's important. I think it's important for the race relations development. We'd be like, yeah. Give us the money. We'll make
Right.
that shit. Well, let's do it. There's
My
somebody out there who's totally down to make this shit. Cut us a check, bro.
Yeah, with their shares have plummeted. I mean, everybody in the market's fucked up right now, but theirs is particularly fucked up,
Yeah.
and they're looking for their next big thing. Stranger Things only got one more season. You know, they need something to replace it. I mean, this could be like the Hunger Games, Oz,
Yeah, dude.
all wrapped into one.
The
You
Fall
know,
of Yakub, season 1.
it's a little bit of 1984. I'm sorry, no, it's a little bit of Brave New World. It's racial porn that people are lusting after these days.
Mm-hmm.
It hits all the marks.
Reverse roots.
Yeah.
Reverse roots, all of that. All of that. And none of the shit, like, see, when I see people explore, they go over black slavery again in America, it's always the same shit. It's the brutality, it's the rape, it's the, like, they want to drive these points home to pull at your heartstrings about how horrible it was. This would be completely different. There's no brutality as far as the slaves go. They're not doing manual labor and being whipped and shit. They're just doing computer work. You know what I'm saying? You can't even be mad. They're just in cubicles. That's always been their favorite place anyway. They created the cubicles.
In an air-conditioned room,
Right.
in a world where they couldn't survive without it.
Right. Where if you go outside, you'll be dead in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Black people wake up every morning and their ritual is to spray hairspray into the fucking sky.
Right. Just in case.
Double-fisted hairspray. Just singing
Yeah.
the knee. Yeah, bro.
But let's come back to power.
I love it.
There's like a little, well, you know, we'll steal some, what's it, Yoruba? What's that?
Yeah,
Nigerian
yep,
religion?
Yoruba, yeah.
Yeah, steal some of the rituals. There's little dolls and stuff, but it's updated. There's no incense. It's just hairspray.
Right.
You go to the little altar, you say your prayer, you spray the hairspray up, you know, and pray that they never come back to power again.
Just burn a plastic bag and shit. That's like the wafer you get when you come in church. They give you a little condensed piece of plastic. I compress you, and you throw that shit in the fire. Just burn some plastic, spray some hairspray. That's communion right there, bro.
Oh shit, dude.
God, I love it, dude. Forced global warming. It's like they tricked us. We found out somewhere in the middle of the 2020s that global warming was a hoax, and they was trying to trick us out of Africanizing the planet. And black people went all the way left. They was like, "Oh, word!" They just started littering and burning all their plastic bags and spraying hairspray just to hasten the inevitable.
Yeah,
That's what
Even-
everybody's doing.
dude. And here's the thing: you start the show with it's just this dynamic. You're in that modern setting, but you don't know how it got there. You just see them doing the rituals and spraying the hairspray. You don't explain anything. These dudes are the accountants, flicking the ears. Your name is Daquan, and you just see this new world, and you write the stories of the conflict or whatever. You find the what drives the dialogue and the storyline. Like you come up with something interesting for the setting, but you slowly kind of get, just like how they did in Game of Thrones, like, oh shit, Littlefinger was doing all of this shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit, since the very beginning, you just slowly reveal how you got here. Why this shit is set up the way that it was. When people found out about global warming and the hoax to preserve white supremacy. It's just great, man.
A couple flashbacks every episode, start
Right.
piecing it all together. It's just beautiful. You could watch, you could probably watch a few 12 Years a Slave and shit like that, Roots, a few movies, and like kind of beat for beat see how they introduce the world and how they go to the brutality and the escaped slave, and here they come with he hears the dogs chasing. Like there's all these beats you could go through and just work them in to the logos of the world that you're building, but show them in the same kind of sequence and shit like that, like people would expect. That's just powerful, bro. It sounds goofy as fuck, but you could play this completely straight, not even on some dark comedy shit. You can play it completely straight, and I feel like there's some real information to mine from watching that. I wonder how white people in general, just the population of white folks in America sitting down watching this show. I want to see their YouTube. I want to see the Quarterings YouTube video about this show. I want to see Tim Pool's review of this show. You know what I'm saying? I want to know how white folks will process this. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it should happen. I'm on a campaign to get the Fall of Yakub picked up and greenlighted immediately. And call it the Fall of Yakub too. Let's get all this talk in there. Let's get it all, because the black families got to tell their black kids the boogeyman stories about Yakub and what he was doing to the world, and why we got to lock them in the air conditioned cabin cubicles. We have to. It's for their own good. They chilling in there, literally. They having a great time. Don't even worry about them. I love it, bro. This shit's powerful. It's gonna happen. This one has a real nice ring to it.
Call it Yakub's Ledger.
Yakub's Ledger. Yakub's Ledger. That's what we found it. We found the book, and we know how to do it. We know exactly where to put y'all to work at. You can't carry nothing. You can't be out in the sun, but you can hook up this keyboard action right here. I love it, dude. This is it. This is the power move. This might be the one that opens the floodgates to help us get Ion Sky made and shit like that. This might be the one that opens the floodgates. That still got to happen too.
Netflix is handing out 20, 30, 40, 50 million. So, I mean, I think they spent like over 100 million just to license Friends.
Dude,
I mean, they're throwing out.
I feel like we could call Netflix and get somebody's answering machine and say, post global warming white slavery, call me back, and just hang up. And be like, well, get that guy on the phone right now. Call him back, get him on the phone right now. We need him. It's one of the best ideas they have on their show. Y'all dropping the ball, your stock is down. You need that buzzer beater. And who better to give it to you than the Cult of Dangerous Gentlemen?
Yeah.
We're nothing if not consistent.
Whatever is uneasy, I'm absolutely convinced Jordan Peele could smooth it out. The fact
100%.
that be at the helm to direct it, they would just accept it.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, well, isn't this offensive? Jordan Peele he's the director. It can't be racist.
No, it can't be. Trust me, he's good. We're good. I'm pretty sure we got a Jewish guy, we got a black guy. Jordan, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. I love it. It's happening. It's happening. I'm claiming it right now. Yakub's Ledger on Netflix, summer 2023.
Yep.
Let's get
See
it.
you at the cock hatchery.
The cock hatchery. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna wrap it up, man. Get ready to get out of here. I'm taking my kids to the homie spot tonight to blow some stuff up. And I mean, what else is there to do with this evening? I see a lot of people boycotting Independence Day because there's no independence, but I'll take an opportunity to eat some barbecue and make some things explode.
Yeah. Why not? It's worth it.
It's all about reclaiming your joy, and that's gonna bring me some joy. So I'm into it. But I definitely appreciate you making time today, brother. We laid out some more beautiful shit that I'm sure some people are gonna be pissed about, but hey, bring it on. If you drop enough donation in the Cash App, we'll bring you on the show to argue about it. Holla.
It's the Lord's work, Dola.
Dola. Enjoy the rest of the evening, man.
You as well, brother. Peace.
Bless.